Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the final week of school before we break up for the summer holidays. How are you all doing today? How are you doing if you're in the classroom? I expect you, like me, are extremely hot. What a scorcher of a weekend it's been, and it's going to be ever so hot in classrooms in school this week. So teachers, you have permission to give your children extra breaks where you can. And ask them to find shady places to rest and try to keep cool. And if you're at home, so I've got 1 year 6 class at home and 1 year 5 class at home, try to find the coolest place in your house. I'm keeping my curtains closed at the moment just to keep the heat of the sun out. So can you believe it? We've made it through the year to the final month of school, which of course is July. We better check the number of days, haven't we? So let's get our fists out, tuck in our thumbs, and let's count. Remember, 31 days on the knuckle and 30 days in the valley. Here we go. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So July has 31 days. And on the 23rd day of July, which is just here on our calendar, the 23rd, where is it here? That is when we break up for the long summer holidays. Some of you are coming to summer school the week after that, but most of us will be breaking up for the holidays here. And I realised I'd never shown you the picture on our calendar for July. So here it is. I've taken my inspiration for a couple of stories from it, actually. Here it is. July is the month when the holidays start and we start thinking about what we have to look forward to during the summer. And I am very, very much hoping that my summer includes some of this, some time by the sea. I wonder if any of you are going on holiday this year and where you are getting up to and what you'll get up to. I can see a family there on the beach with a parasol. I can see people swimming, taking care to keep safe in the sea, and there's some lovely boats there as well. And here on a hill is a lighthouse. And it's this lighthouse that's inspired some seaside stories for us this week. A lighthouse, of course, is a very important building. The huge flashing light that it has at the top of it helps the ships and the boats to steer clear of any difficult rocks that could cause them problems. And in year 1, you have been, I mentioned it on our Good Work Assembly on Friday, you've been reading the Lighthouse Keeper stories, all about Mr. and Mrs. Grinling, who keep and look after a lighthouse. They do a very important job. And I think you've had all sorts of stories, but I don't think you've had the 2 that I'm going to read on Monday and Tuesday. So the very first one I'm going to read is not the Lighthouse Keeper's Lunch, or the Lighthouse Keeper's Cat, or the Lighthouse Keeper's Picnic, although they're all great stories. This one is the Lighthouse Keeper's Breakfast, and it's about something very special that happens to the lighthouse keeper and his family. There's the beautiful lighthouse. They're often painted a gorgeous red and white, but this time there is a pirate flag on top of the lighthouse. Let's see why. As always in the Lighthouse Keeper stories, we start with some pictures of pesky seagulls, including one who's looking rather piratey there. Let's see where they feature in our story today. Mr. and Mrs. Grinling lived with their cat Hamish in a little white cottage perched high above the cliffs. Mr. Grinling was a lighthouse keeper. By day and night, with his assistant Sam, he lovingly tended the light. One Wednesday morning, when Sam was polishing, he noticed a tiny inscription right at the very top of the lighthouse. Well, well, he said to himself, just fancy that. Can you see? He's right at the top of the lighthouse, and just there where he's polishing the windows, he finds a little inscription on the plaque just there. Our lighthouse is 200 years old this year, he told everyone. We should celebrate. Oh, maybe some presents, said Mr. Grinling. A fresh coat of red and white paint and a party, said Mrs. Grinling. Oh, how about fancy dress, suggested Sally de la Croissant, who was the village baker. Something to do with the sea, said Jason the postman. I've got a lovely octopus suit. We can use my old sailing ship, roared Admiral Fleetabix. I'll moor her out in the bay. Or can it be an all-night party with a birthday breakfast? Asked the children. It is an extremely important occasion, and everyone agreed that Mr. and Mrs. Grinling should be the very special guests. So there they all are, and there's the invitation to the party. 200 years old. Come and join the birthday celebrations of the lighthouse. Oh, it was so difficult to choose the right fancy dress. Shall I wear a shark suit? Asked Mr. Grinling. Could I be a mermaid? Wondered Mrs. Grinling. But when they discovered the pirate costumes, their minds were quite made up. All my life I've yearned to be a pirate, sighed Mrs. Grinling, to spit and swear and roam the seven seas and search for treasure on Treasure Island, added Mr. Grinling. Oh, we'd be splendid pirates, called Mrs. Grinling as she swashed and buckled around the room. Hattie and Herbert, the scourge of the seven seas. Ooh-ah, said Mr. Grinling, and he swashed and buckled too. Perhaps Hamish could be our pirate cat, suggested Mrs. Grinling, but Hamish had very different ideas. Whenever Mrs. Grinling wanted him to try on his pirate costume, Hamish disappeared. Drat that cat, she exclaimed. Where does he go to these days? He seems awfully busy. Oh, I think they're looking forward to being pirates at the fancy dress costume. What would you go in? What would your fancy dress costume be if it had to be linked to the sea theme? Well, the Grinlings practice being pirates at every opportunity. Here's your toast, my old one-eyed beauty. Ooh-ah! Avast, me hearties, let's stir the crow's nest soup. Shiver me timbers, careful, Captain. Yoggle yard arm. But Mr. Grinling's cutlass caused all sorts of difficulties. I do want to be a pirate, he said sadly. I'm just not very good at it. Perhaps I should have gone as a shark, after all. Struggling with his cutlass there. Mrs. Grinling quite frightened Sam and the seagulls with her cursing and swearing. Good gracious me, Hattie Grinling, I don't believe I'm hearing such things. I'm off to the village. Ha ha! Oh, thank goodness it's only a week until the party. The Grinlings are driving me mad with their pirate antics. Ah, said Miss de la Croissant, the village baker. So they're dressing up as pirates, are they? On the night of the party, the Grinlings rowed out towards the party ship. At first its lights shone clearly across the water, but gradually they dimmed and soon they vanished altogether. What can have happened, Mrs. G? Said Mr. Grinling. We can't be lost. The waves slapped against the little boat. It was darker than Mr. Grinling had ever seen it, and then, as the lighthouse flashed across the bay, Look, Mr. G, exclaimed Mrs. Grinling. Someone's come to rescue us. A speedboat swished in beside them, nearly swamping the little dinghy. 3 pirates leapt across the bow and thrust their shining cutlasses in the air. Ooh-ah! They roared, and they rampaged round the dinghy. Mrs. Grinling was delighted. Real pirates, she whispered to Mr. Grinling, and she forgot all about the sea party. Ooh-ah! Said the fiercest pirate. We be pirates, and this be our pirate patch. We're on the lookout for likely new recruits. Oh, yes, exclaimed Mrs. Grinling. We'd love to be pirates. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. Mr. Grinling waved his cutlass rather feebly. The pirates appeared rather surprised. Of course, you'll have to show us that you can be pirates, snarled the smallest and smelliest pirate. You have to pass the incredibly difficult pirate tests. Mr. Grinling wasn't sure about pirate tests. OK, lads, shouted the fiercest pirate. Let's blindfold 'em, gag 'em, and take 'em back to the captain. She'll soon find out if they're made of proper pirate material. Y'all know what she's like. Well, the pirate captain was a particularly nasty-looking piece of work. She'd black teeth and smelt of rotten fish and seaweed. A grubby white parrot clung to her shoulder. Right, my hearties, what do we have here? She peg-legged around the Grinlings. So, you want to join the pirate crew, do you? Oh, yes, please, said Mrs. Grinling. Definitely, agreed Mr. Grinling. Well, you look like pirates and you smell like pirates, but you have to pass the 6 pirate test before you can be pirates. Are you ready? Asked the captain. So what comes first, my hearties? There's the pirate captain. I wonder what the 6 pirate tests are. Oh, the swearing test, shouted the pirates. While Mrs. Grinling swore long and loud, the parrot covered her ears. Mr. Grinling thought for a while. Blithering bumbollards, he muttered at last. The pirates shook their heads. Now, it's the sleeping in a hammock in a force 9 gale test. Rock that ship, me bully boys and girls. Mrs. Grinling held tight to the hammock sides and smiled happily. Mr. Grinling bounced right out of the hammock and was seasick several times. The pirates groaned. Now it's the Jolly Roger flag test, shouted Captain Bossybell. Just a quick climb up to the crow's nest. Mrs. Grinling scampered up the rope ladder. At the top, she not only hoisted the flag, but waved her cutlass. Shiver me timbers, shouted the pirates. Mrs. Grinling seems to be a superb pirate. Mr. Grinling closed his eyes as he started to climb. Don't look down, he muttered to himself. Think of Hamish and Sam. Think of nice things to eat. Peach surprise and iced sea biscuits. Think of... He fell into a barrel of foul-smelling water. I'm so sorry, said the captain. Oh, they're very polite for pirates, spluttered Mr. Grinling to Mrs. Grinling. Pirate test number 4, announced Captain Bossybell. Finding the treasure, roared all the pirates. Here's the map, said Captain Bossybell. There is lovely treasure hidden in our ship, and you've only got 10 minutes to find it. Ooh-ar, shouted the Grinlings, and off they raced. They found the treasure chest under the bottom of a very small pirate. Open sesame, shouted the pirates. The chest was big enough for only 1 jewel and 2 pieces of 8. We're a little short of treasure at the moment, exclaimed the captain. No decent raids recently. And now, the most dangerous, the most terrifying, the most dastardly test of them all. Eating pirate food, shouted the pirates. Oh, eating, said Mr. Grinling happily. Now eating is something I can do. Some of the smaller pirates sniggered. Captain Bossybell laid out the food. 2 maggots and a weevil wriggled across the biscuit. Mr. Grinling turned quite green, but Mrs. Grinling turned quite green. But Mr. Grinling, he ate it. Weevils, maggots and all. Hooray! Cheered the pirates. I think I'd fail that pirate test if it were me. And now, number 6, the final test. If you pass this test, you can join our pirate gang. Tell 'em, me bouncing buccaneers. Walking the plank, cried the pirates. Oh, said Mrs. Grinling. Dearie me, said Mr. Grinling. The water below looked smoothly dark and menacing. Mr. Grinling wished he was wearing the shark costume. Do you think I could ask for armbands? He whispered. Mrs. Grinling looked at the pirates' faces and shook her head. We've always wanted to be pirates, Mr. G, she said. We aren't afraid of a little bit of water, are we? Goodness, no, said Mr. Grinling. But his knees knocked and his tummy felt all wobbly like a jelly. Ready, he said, and he held his nose. Steady, said Mrs. Grinling, letting go of his nose. Oh, sorry, and she closed her eyes. Just a minute, said Mr. Grinling, letting go of his nose. Something's amiss here. Who ever heard of new pirates walking the plank? We could drown before we've done anything vaguely piratey. Suddenly, the pirates pulled off their disguises. Surprise! They shouted. The Grinlings were astounded. They nearly fell into the water. It's Jason the postman! Exclaimed Mr. Grinling. Admiral Fleeterbix, cried Mrs. Grinling. And Sally de la Croissant, they both said together. We heard how much you longed to be pirates, she explained, so we planned a pirate experience. We had to be nasty so you'd think we were real. We certainly did, said Mr. Grinling as he mopped his brow. So it was the village people all the time playing a trick. The lighthouse beamed its last light across the bay. It's party time, called Jason the postman. He picked up his fiddle and started to play. May I have the pleasure, Pirate Herbert? Asked Mrs. Grinling. Ooh-ah, Pirate Hattie, smiled Mr. Grinling, and they all danced until they could dance no more. Oh, sun's up, called Sally de la Croissant. Time for the birthday breakfast. Mrs. Grinling looked worried. Well, we can't have the party without Hamish or Sam, said Mr. Grinling. They're coming, shouted the children. Just in time for food, said Sam as he climbed onto the deck. He placed a large wicker basket at the Grinling's feet and carefully opened the lid. What do you think is going to be inside? Let's see. Out jumped Hamish, the cat, and Mrs. Hamish, the cat, and 4 little Hamishes. Now, said Mr. Grinling, that's what I call real treasure. Oh, what a happy ending to a really exciting story. There he is, look, Hamish in his eye patch. Mrs. Hamish and the new kittens. And then the seagull, just to finish off, is saying, a load of cats, just what I need. Well, I hope you enjoyed our seaside story today. We've got another one tomorrow, which I'll read you. So have a really nice day. Keep cool. Keep cool. Nice, gentle Monday, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now. Bye-bye.